The moment the world's door closes, the external world had completely shut its eyes beneath the soft, velvety curtain that enveloped it. The world outside has closed its eyes, beneath the velvet, starless skies. The sky was a profound black, as if having absorbed even the light of the stars, and the city below stood firm on the two pillars of silence and solitude. This was a lonely hour. Yet this solitude was not the loneliness that stemmed from loss or deficiency. Rather, it was an absolute peace born of fullness, a state overflowing with my own self. A lonely hour, a deep, still peace. The noise that had been ear-splitting during the day, the incessant alarms, the carelessly tossed criticisms and praises, all those loud worries, completely lost their power and dissolved into this stillness, where all the day's loud worries cease. They were like stones thrown into water, creating ripples for a moment before sinking into the deep. This hour of the dawn was a process of purification, erasing the traces of the past, removing internal clutter, and leaving only the present me whole and complete. The 2 a.m. threshold. Finding self in absolute solitude, time flowed at a slow pace, as if liberated from physical constraints, transcending even the tick of the second hand on the old clock hanging on the living room wall. It was past 1 in the morning, now delicately balanced on the threshold of 2 a.m. The clock hand drags, a phantom slow. The hour hand proceeded on its course, faint yet steady, like a moving spectre whose presence was barely discernible. I lay sunk in the deepest part of the sofa, submerged in cushions that remembered every curve of my body, gazing at this seemingly arrested flow. Outside the window, the world was filled with the silent moonlight, scattered like silver pigment across a black canvas. Across the quiet, moonlit glow, the city seemed to have forgotten how to breathe, or perhaps been denied the very act of respiration, now steeped in perfect silence. The city sleeps, a hushed expanse. While countless individuals drifted in their own beds and dreams, I was the sole exception, the one awake at the heart of this enormous quiet. This time felt like a waking trance for me. If the daytime self was an artificial construct forged by societal demands and the expectations of others, the person I was at 2 a.m. was the one who had shed all those masks and shells, confronting the most primal and pure self. While I am caught in a waking trance. The moment the world's door closes, the external world had completely shut its eyes beneath the soft, velvety curtain that enveloped it. The world outside has closed its eyes, beneath the velvet, starless skies. The sky was a profound black, as if having absorbed even the light of the stars, and the city below stood firm on the two pillars of silence and solitude. This was a lonely hour. Yet this solitude was not the loneliness that stemmed from loss or deficiency. Rather, it was an absolute peace born of fullness, a state overflowing with my own self. A lonely hour, a deep, still peace. The noise that had been ear-splitting during the day, the incessant alarms, the carelessly tossed criticisms and praises, all those loud worries, completely lost their power and dissolved into this stillness, where all the day's loud worries cease. They were like stones thrown into water, creating ripples for a moment before sinking into the deep. This hour of the dawn was a process of purification, erasing the traces of the past, removing internal clutter, and leaving only the present me whole and complete. A conversation in blue silence. In this deep blue silence, all the thoughts that had been suppressed and stifled during the day took wing and began to soar. In this blue silence, thoughts take flight. They were brightly illuminated by the faint light emanating from the darkness of the night itself. Illuminated by the night. I no longer feared being honest with myself. My most vulnerable parts, my most shameful memories, my most fervent hopes unfolded before me, projected onto an inner screen. The shadows cast by the furniture in the room stretched out so long their forms were unrecognizable, slowly creeping like living entities. The shadows stretch and softly creep. These shadows were not merely the absence of light. They symbolized my subconscious, the deep abyss of my inner self hidden during the day. In that profound depth, everyone else in the world was peacefully adrift in slumber, while others drift in slumber deep. But I chose the path of courageously facing that abyss instead of turning away. I rose from the sofa and headed to the kitchen. My footsteps echoed through the quiet corridor, but the sound seemed to confirm that I was the master of this time. The small lamp lit on the kitchen counter was like the sole lighthouse guiding me through this vast darkness. The kitchen light, a gentle guide. The light was artificial, but its warmth provided me comfort. Under this light, no secret emotion could be hidden. Where secret feelings can't be hid. Fragments of anger, anxiety, and inexplicable joy, which had been tightly suppressed throughout the day, were all revealed with transparency in this glow. Questions rising from the cup. I poured hot water into a cup and dropped a tea bag in. I quietly watched the steam rise from the surface of the cup. I watched the steam rise from my cup. This vapor was not just water evaporating. It was the visual representation of countless questions silently boiling up from within me. As silent questions bubble up. Am I walking the right path right now? What was my greatest mistake and how did it change me? Am I truly making the people I love happy? These questions were those that could not be heard, or were deliberately ignored, amidst the noise of the day. But in this early morning, the questions quietly reached out towards my existence, free of any judgment or accusation. I took their hand and sank into the deepest part of my being. I took the cup and returned to the window. The view outside was grayscale, like a black and white photograph, but precisely in this monotony, the colors of complex reality were sharply separated and revealed. Sipping the tea, I assembled countless fragments of memory, childhood dreams, failed challenges, moments of unexpected success, and above all, the faces of people who had left me or whom I had to let go. All these fragments finally formed one meaningful picture in this silent moment. A space of absolute freedom. This 2 a.m. hour offered perfect freedom. The phone was asleep and there were no hurried shadows urging me on. No ringing phone, no hurried stride. Here there was only a vast space to unfold my inner feelings. Just space for feelings held inside. I no longer needed to explain or apologize to anyone. This time was a psychological sanctuary for me and by me alone. This window, dark and vast, was a prism capturing the most precious moments. A precious window, dark and vast. While the hours of the day slipped through my fingers like an ever-flowing river, the more I tried to grasp them, this moment of dawn felt as if time had paused, built to last forever. A moment built to truly last. I deeply accepted the gift this moment offered me. I realized that when one does not fear solitude, solitude exercises its most powerful force for healing and insight. I recorded this early morning contemplation in the deepest part of my soul. This experience was not a simple act of staying up late. It was a ritual for listening to my inner voice, a time for strengthening the mental muscle to endure the trials of the coming day. The insight gained in this dawn would become a firm anchor, holding me steady against the incoming noise and chaos of reality. Hope budding in the darkness. Finally, this mesmerizing and long hour of solitude showed signs of slowly coming to an end. A subtle shift where black mixed with violet was detectable at the edge of the eastern sky. Soon morning will begin to break. And soon the entire city would awaken with its busy sounds. And busy sounds the world will wake. People would hurry again, compete, complain, and love. The peace of 2 a.m. would vanish shortly, and I would have to return to the intense waves of reality. But now I was not afraid, for I had been recreated through this time. But for this time, this silent minute, the whole wide universe is in it. Because in this short, quiet moment of the dawn, I had held the whole universe inside me and confronted a self as vast as the universe itself. I gazed out the window, feeling the last warmth remaining in the cup. The moonlight was already fading, and a new light was slowly pushing back the darkness. I stood up from the sofa. My body was tired, but my mind was clearer and more intense than ever. The 2 a.m. me had fully accepted the other me who was watching, and could embrace past mistakes and future uncertainties. This solitary time had taught me how to say goodbye to the world, but at the same time how to connect more deeply with the world in the new morning. I closed the door on the dawn, ready to meet the light of the coming morning. Now, armed with the most solid weapon, my true self, I will step out into the world. 2 o'clock in the morning, the clock hand drags, a phantom slow, across the quiet, moonlit glow. The city sleeps, a hushed expanse, while I am caught in a waking trance. The world outside has closed its eyes, beneath the velvet, starless skies. A lonely hour, a deep, still peace, where all the day's loud worries cease. In this blue silence, thoughts take flight, illuminated by the night. The shadows stretch and softly creep, while others drift in slumber deep. The kitchen light, a gentle guide where secret feelings can't be hid. I watch the steam rise from my cup as silent questions bubble up. No ringing phone, no hurried stride, just space for feelings held inside. A precious window, dark and vast, a moment built to truly last. Soon morning will begin to break and busy sounds the world will wake. But for this time, this silent minute, the whole wide universe is in it.